The views and opinions expressed here on Wrestling Winedown are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of any other agency, organization, employer, or company. What's up, guys? It's Lo, and you are tuned in to Wrestling Winedown, a female-founded and hosted podcast dedicated to professional wrestling and our favorite adult beverage. What's up, guys? We're back with another episode of Wrestling Winedown, Chardonnay and Chisme, and we are in Philly. We are in Philly for Wrestlemania. I feel like it just kind of just showed up.
I feel like it really did, but we've been planning this trip for a whole year.
Yes.
The itinerary has been set and ready to go. So now that we're here, and it's just like the first couple of days, I'm very excited.
Well, we haven't even been here 24 hours.
It really hasn't set in. It's interesting, like looking at all the different buildings. We're kind of comparing it to like, oh, this is a little bit of Vegas, this is a little bit of Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really nice. Yeah, we've seen a lot of things.
We have. Okay, so like I said, we've been here less than 24 hours. We went to Walemania last night.
Yeah.
I've gone to Walemania twice now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the first time we went together last year, I went in LA.
So 3 times.
Three times, yes. Yeah. The male to female ratio is what we need to discuss here.
It's like 80-20, 90-10 maybe. I feel like it was 95-5.
It was 95-5. Mm-hmm. I've gone in previous years, like I said, and there's always been women there. But when we went, it seemed like there was just a handful of women.
And we were with them.
We're with them. In solidarity.
We met up with, I got to meet Cresta from Fightful, my co-host, for the first time. So I was really excited. She was also very excited to meet us. So that was really awesome. Hung out with her for a little bit, and some other friends that we've made on wrestling Twitter and social media. So
right.
Yeah.
So we met really Nessa. Cool. She's modeled for Wrestling Winedown, different collections that we've done there. We saw Reg and Phil from Fightful, Grapsity.
Yeah.
And there were, a bunch of other people that we saw as well. It was nice to see people that we haven't seen since last year, 2 years ago.
Yeah. We saw Sean Ross Sapp. Well, you saw him. I completely missed him. And I was talking to you about it. I'm like, I can't believe that my boss and I were in the same building, and I just completely missed him. But I did meet an internet celebrity in Simon Miller, who is the host of What Culture. And I literally stopped him. I'm like, you're Simon? And he's like, yes. And I'm like, Simon Miller from What Culture? And he was like, yes. And I told him that I watch his other YouTube channel that's non-wrestling related. That's how I found out about him first, is through music reactions. So he and his co-host would just like listen to albums for like the first time and just kind of talk about that. And he was like, oh my God. He's like, that made my day. Like, thank you so much for telling me that. Cause like it wasn't even wrestling related, and we were at the wrestling related event. So that was really cool.
Interesting night.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about our experience specifically and like the VIP?
Yeah. So we got there. It started at 8. We got there around 10. Give the party a little bit of time to warm up before you walk in.
Yes.
There were a lot of tall men in VIP. So you walk upstairs. You walk up 1 or 2 flights of stairs. You get to VIP,
and it was dark.
It was very dark.
Yes.
Because I thought there would be a little bit more light for me to be able to identify people, but
we couldn't see. It was like just shadows. It was just shadows.
So from there, I was just kind of like, okay, what's going on? And like I said, there were a lot of tall guys there. Couldn't even see the stage.
Yeah.
And then
because people were standing, and then there was also like a stool situation, and all of them were full. And the only place that really had a light was the bar.
Right.
So we were like, okay, do we try to move up? And we couldn't see the stage, which you're elevated. So I'm assuming that you would be able to see the stage.
Like a prime time view.
So that was just unfortunate that we didn't have really a view, and it was extremely packed.
Yes.
So the only place that we really found a light was the bar. And we went and we got our drinks, and then we're like, you know what? It's a little crowded in here. So let's go downstairs. And we were not allowed to take our drinks back downstairs, which that could be a policy thing. I don't know, unless they had different drinks upstairs and they did downstairs. I don't know. But I had to chug my drink expeditiously before we went back downstairs. But we were trying to find a little space, and security was like, hey, you can't stand here, but you kind of can stand here. But moving towards, like, he moved a little trash can for us, which I was like, can we or can we not stand here? But then he also asked for my number. So I was like, sir, you're on the job.
On company time.
And I mean, he at least moved the trash can for us.
And that's all he did. He didn't get a number.
He's like, no number, stand next to the trash. Yes.
He said, do you have a man? It's none of your business.
He said, move on. But then we got to go downstairs after.
We did. So we ended up going to just the GA area. Obviously, the GA area was way more packed, but there were some areas where there weren't a lot of people. There was actually cool flowing air in the vicinity. So that was where we were at for most of the time. So we stayed over there. We hung out with Nessa and her friends as well. But I'll be honest, I was a little bit disappointed in the VIP experience.
Because we were not up there.
We weren't up there.
Yeah.
And I thought that the event was lively. I thought the people enjoyed it, but I think that the VIP experience maybe could have been thought about a little bit better.
I want to say, I talked to you a little bit about this yesterday, that I thought it might have been like oversold as like, I feel like they should have had a set amount of seats. And then when those seats got filled up, cut it.
Right.
Instead of trying to, have standing room, because it was very, very full.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is the second time that I've been there, but it was also very full the first time.
Yeah.
And parking was also a crazy situation. So I think it was just too packed. Yeah.
Well, when I went in LA last year, the whole vibe was different. And we heard that from a couple people during the night who said the vibe in VIP was just like off. Like they didn't say anything else. It was just the vibe was off. And for multiple people to say that, that has to mean something. Like I said, when I went to LA last year and went to Walemania, it was way different. You know, you had more seating. It was more mingling. Now, the wrestlers and the general fans in VIP were kind of mingled together. So I don't know if that was an issue. And that's why they kind of reverted back to how it was in Dallas. But I think more seating and
more lighting, more air.
Yeah, clean air.
Yeah.
Deodorized air, if you will.
It was interesting. But I mean, when we met up with our like crew, once we had our little space, it was fine. But even then, it was like the ratio was just so uneven that
we need to have a conversation. When you're approaching somebody that you don't know and you go up to them, you go up to them and you say, so, who are you pushing for at WrestleMania? Roman or Cody?
Yeah.
Sir, I'm here to watch the concert.
And you know what it was? We also like wanted to kind of dance, but anytime we would do any kind of movement, like a man would show up and we're like, wait, let's just try to have like our little thing. And we couldn't even go into the big group because everyone was just bumping into each other. And we're like, there's not going to be any room for all of the girls to like be together and like be safe and just like want to dance.
Right. I know that the crew over there, Andrea, Emilio, Kaz, Wale, I know they put a lot of time and effort into it. And I'm not discounting that. It just, the vibe was off. The vibe was really off. And I saw some stuff online about women that were not feeling comfortable there. They had their own experiences. And obviously these people can't be in the crowd when they're throwing an event. But I definitely feel like whenever you go to a wrestling show as a woman, you should feel safe. And even as a concert type of gig, it should still be safe. And I think some men just take it too far, especially in those tight corners, you know. And even like you said, when we would start dancing or having a good time, it's like a man wants to come over. No, just stay in your space. Like, you don't have to come over here. But reading those comments from people that, you know, I follow, and I'm like, damn, well, you know, we weren't even in the crowd like that, and they're having these experiences.
Yeah. And you know what? It's funny because even when we were in line or just like watching over, you know, one of our friends in the bathroom, like the bathrooms are still right next to each other, and guys would come out of the bathroom even before going in. They'd be like, oh, well, hey, ladies, or like, how are, like, asking questions and stuff. And you're like, I'm just in line, sir. Like,
cost $0.00 to shut up.
I think for me, I think Walemania has just always seemed more fun if you get to be on stage.
Yeah.
And there was like 100 people on stage, and that was between like wrestlers and like other people. And yeah, I mean, it seems like they had a great time, but everybody else that was like all clustered into I mean, it seemed like super full on stage too, but everyone else that was clustered into the crowd, like the reason we were like in the back was because it was a little bit of open space. There was air. We were close to the bar. And again, we were just us girls in our little pack. And I don't think we ever thought, we're like, yeah, let's go to try to get to the front of the stage at any moment.
Like I said, I think a lot of hard work goes into it. I know, like I said, Andrea, who's been on the show before, helped out and produced it. So I'm not taking any credit away from her because I know she works her ass off. But hopefully with the feedback that's coming up online, you know, just face-to-face conversations, stuff like that, hopefully that's taken into consideration because the concept itself is great. Moving on, WrestleMania is Saturday and Sunday. There's definitely a lot of matches that I'm looking forward to. What matches are you looking forward to? Okay. Both nice.
all of Cody Rhodes. I'm hoping that the rumors will be true and that we do get some surprise legends in there. And I know that people are very sometimes sour on having legends come back, but if you're going to have them come back at any time during the wrestling season, WrestleMania is absolutely it. It's the grandest stage of them all. It's the biggest event that they have throughout the year. So I'm definitely expecting John Cena to make an appearance and Stone Cold Steve Austin. And I think the first time that we went to Mania together, Stone Cold was there. So that's just going to be a nice little like bonus. So I'm really hoping that happens and that Cody wins his matches. I don't think him and Rollins are going to do too well the first night against The Rock.
The Rock is going to do too well. He was out of breath getting in the ring.
We saw his truck.
We did. That was at Walemania. I guess The Rock has some type of like energy drink, and it was in the parking lot. I guess he was a sponsor because his cutout was in there as well. So I don't know how the drink tasted. I was very.
We're not going to know.
We're not going to know. No, but I was hydrated. I had water and a shot, so I wasn't trying to mess with no energy drink.
We were good.
Yeah. It's interesting that The Rock is back. I think a lot of people thought it was going to lead to Rock versus Roman, which I don't think is off the table. I don't trust The Rock.
I don't think it's off the table, though I do think it should have been done sooner.
Yeah.
And it wasn't done sooner because they didn't give that title belt to Cody last year. And I think they wanted Roman to pass his 1,000 days as champion, which he did. And then they kind of didn't know what to do with him. So they're like, all right, well, let's just keep that title on him till next Mania.
Right.
And then The Rock comes back thinking, oh, this is the year that I can have my match. Wrongly. You're very mistaken, sir. Like, that's not what happened at all. And him calling the Cody crybabies and putting the videos of the little girls crying, like,
I think there's a lot of factors, though, because you think about it, The Rock is now on the WWE Endeavor board, right? And he wasn't on that board before. And I think maybe that kind of triggered him to think, okay, maybe it's time for me to have an in-ring return. Because we haven't seen Rock in a WWE ring since, I think, one of the Manias. I know for sure one of the Royal Rumbles when everyone started booing Roman. So we haven't seen him in a while, and definitely not an active part of a storyline. Furthermore,
it's a storyline that doesn't need the championship.
I don't think so, no.
It's going to be fine if Roman loses that championship to Cody. Cody deserves it. I think after the year that he had last year and the year that he had, you know, working up to this one, he's just had to work with a lot of difficulties. So him coming back and finally getting that championship is going to be so big. I'm hoping that Downstate plays his theme into like live, and that's just going to be a whole nother situation.
Well, I don't know if you watched the Roman Reigns documentary that was on A&E. It was very well done.
Yeah.
I felt like there was some foreshadowing in there. Roman mentioned that if he's not at the top, he doesn't want to do it. And to say that a week before you're defending your title is very strange. Now, mind you, they probably taped this months ago, right? Because there was clips, I noticed this, there was clips of John Cena in there, and he was in the same outfit he had on for the Bray Wyatt documentary. So I think they probably filmed him at the same time, which is probably recent. But it is interesting that Roman did say something like that. I think Roman is probably going to take time off once he loses.
And he deserves it.
He deserves it.
He has been
And I know a lot now.
People will say that he's not a fighting champion, that he hasn't been showing up, but you look at the numbers that he pulls anytime he cuts a promo, anytime he's on stage, even though he's not fighting, he's still adding to the story.
He's adding to the value of the company as well. I think that Roman Reigns has the unique appeal that he reaches both men and women. And that's not typical.
And that's where the money's at.
That's where the money is at. And I think a lot of people forget that women do enjoy professional wrestling, which kind of ties into what we've been talking about, is people forget about the women, but they bring in a lot. And I think within the last 5 to 10 years, there's been a huge increase in women that like professional wrestling. But I still notice, you know, when merch comes out or decisions are made, it's still kind of based towards that male demographic. Now, I know the male demographic is through the roof compared to the women, but you still need to think about oh, the women are watching. And obviously the kids are a huge demographic as well. I think Cody is a perfect person to take the belt from Roman because Cody has really built up this character, in my opinion, as like the next John Cena. I feel like he's just that stereotypical good guy. He's always really looking out for other people. We see it on Twitter. You know, he has the wrestling club from New York. He flew them all out. He's buying all their tickets for WrestleMania. Like, superstars don't do that, but Cody does. And I feel like that's what they need. We haven't had like one of those good guys in the company since John Cena.
Yeah, and it's crazy. You know, you talk about what Cody does for his fans. He will sign autographs and take pictures with everybody, no matter how long the line is. He will come back after the show. He'll give away his boots, his weight belt. He'll kiss the babies. He'll take pictures with the kids. Like, incredible stuff. And people look forward to like being in front row because you're like, oh my God, Cody Rhodes is going to be here and I'm going to get a picture with him, might get a video. And that's exciting. Yeah.
One match that I'm really looking forward to, which is a new one, we kind of anticipated it was coming though, is Jade Cargill making her in-ring debut other than the Royal Rumble, like a full-on match
debut.
At WrestleMania. She's teaming with Bianca Belair and Naomi. Goosebumps.
Yeah, versus Damage Control.
And that moment of them in the ring, Naomi, Jade, and Bianca, was just like, it was insane. You think back to 20, 30 years ago, you had Jazz and Jacqueline that were wrestling together. I mean, it's been so long since we've seen a group of Black women. You know, you have tag teams, but this is basically a faction. It's a group. And even if it is just for WrestleMania, like, I will enjoy it and I will thrive in that, because I think about when I first started watching wrestling at 9 or 10, like, there were not that many Black women. There was Crystal Marshall, and then you had a couple of years later Alicia Fox. And I've been saying this for so long, like, we need that representation. NXT has done a great job, and you have women now on the main roster, but strong Black women at WrestleMania. And the match is full of people of color. You have Dakota Kai, who is Samoan, and then you have Kairi Sane and Asuka, and it's like, we haven't really seen anything like this.
I know this
is historic.
This is the diversity that we've always talked about,
right? And I know a lot of people are focused on the Bianca, the Jade, and Naomi, which obviously is a huge deal, but we also need to look at the other team as well. Like, this match is very diverse, and I'm looking forward to seeing Jade in the ring and seeing how she works with Bianca and how she works with Naomi. I know a lot of people wanted that Bianca versus Jade. I'm so glad we're not getting it yet. I think we really just need to let it play out, let it build gradually. Jade has been in the company for a while now, but this is only her second match, her first real one other than the Royal Rumble. So, I mean, that whole thing setting up this match was amazing. Just seeing her come out and just the presence that she had. She walked out slow and methodically. And you know what I thought when she walked out? I was like, it's not giving Jeff Hardy going to save Matt Hardy and dancing before. It's giving more of like, you know what's coming, like, you better be careful. It's so amazing to see.
I'm glad that they are putting them together. I know a lot of people were kind of hesitant of, you know, why are you going to put all the Black women together in a faction? And I'm like, this is perfect. I know it's said before, like, oh yeah, like LWO, you're going to put like all the Mexicans together. And like, that's not what this is. Like, these are probably the strongest women in the division, in Jade and Bianca. And then Naomi is just, it makes sense. And I would not be mad if going forward, this is the group, that this is the faction, right? Because you have teams like Damage Control. You can start building up your tag division. You know, they're being called, I think, like the Power Buff Girls. And I'm like, oh, I love that. So it's really exciting to see. And I think this is a great, not beginner's match for Jade, but start her off working with other people and then have her, I feel like she's going to turn eventually, right? You can have that in the future, but I don't think we need that now. Building towards a Jade versus Bianca. But this match, I think, is definitely going to steal the show.
Yeah.
You're just thinking about it. Like,
I know. It's amazing to see as well, because like we've discussed, Jazz is a part of WWE world. And when I saw it on Twitter, I thought they were joking. Jazz has not been involved in WWE in so many years, and she's done interviews and stuff like that where she talks about what went wrong with the relationship. And to see her back now, even being at WWE world, she doesn't even need to wrestle. Like, just being in that presence, it's like, this is insane. Like, we've seen Jacqueline come back. She's done stuff here and there in the Royal Rumble, but Jazz was such a distant thought. And I've said it so many times. I'm like, I just wish they'd bring her back. And even when it was Sasha versus Bianca, I was like, wouldn't it be cool if Jazz and Jacqueline had some type of capacity? And they didn't. But now it's like, you have Bianca, Jade, and Naomi in a match. And I'm sure Jazz is going to be there. Like, it just makes me so happy because it's like, that's what they fought for. And I saw a lot of people saying, well, it's because Vince is gone. That's why Jazz is back. And it might be. But I really feel like they need to sign her to a Legends deal. They need her in the Hall of Fame, which I've been saying for so long now. They need to appreciate what they have because they it up once already. Let's not do it again. Yeah. I think Jazz, I mean, she's still running her wrestling school. You know, she was doing her retirement tour a couple of years ago. She would be a great asset to NXT. She'd be a great asset to commentary. She's been there. I even think she'd be a great manager for Jade. She really would be. The bitch is back and the bitch is black. Wow. If Jade took that,
you would have it. Yeah, I can already picture that shot of Jazz in the crowd in the first couple front rows, like when this match is going on. I hope they have her there. But yeah, I remember us talking about it when we saw that Jazz was going to be there. We were like, wait, she hasn't done like WWE related.
I was in your
things.
DMs screaming.
Yes, you were. We hadn't seen her do anything like this in a capacity. And I don't know if it's because, you know, they hadn't reached out to her or extended the invitation to her. And it could be very well now that Vince is gone. But like, that's her choice. And it's good that we are seeing her now more involved because now we're like thinking, okay, like where could this go? And hopefully it's in more involvement in the WWE.
And a lot of these women too have mentioned before that they looked up to Jazz. So being able to share a ring with her or, you know, share a photo op opportunity at WWE World with her. Like I can only imagine how Naomi feels because she's the only one that's within that same time bracket as her. Like, that's just so amazing. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how this progresses in terms of Jazz. And hopefully it means that she gets like a Legends deal or something like that. This LA Knight and AJ Styles, though.
Okay, because we talked about this before we started recording. We saw the brawl at the Superstore.
First of all,
in broad daylight.
In front of everyone. No one's concerned. Everyone's just filming.
I was very excited. I guess not excited when the match was announced because I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah. But the buildup has really been interesting because AJ Styles flew all the way to Elimination Chamber in Australia to just beat up LA Knight.
That's commitment to ass beating.
It really is. He was like, I'm not booked on the card, but I'm going to book my flight and I'm going to go beat him up. Like, that's crazy.
That's commitment.
It really is.
You know, I will say the same as you. When I saw the match was announced, I was like, oh, okay, it'll be a good match. But I feel like they might have felt that energy or whoever's booking it felt that energy and they've gone above and beyond with trying to really add the drama. Yeah. Yes. I actually saw a clip. AJ was cussing after that fight and AJ does not cuss like that.
He was also bleeding.
He was bleeding too. And I was like, oh, okay. We're real serious here. And Walemania, on another note, we saw Carmelo and Trick having some words and getting physical and stuff. And I'm almost wondering if WWE is kind of leaning on that UGC, that user-generated content, to kind of start building up their audience a little bit more. Now, they have a large audience, don't get me wrong, but there's just something about using that user-generated content, whether it's at Walemania or it's at the WWE World, to kind of boost your audience up. And then people are like, oh, that's going on at WWE World. Let me go over there and see what that's all about because people are nosy.
And it's free.
Right.
You know, you give something for people to talk about and then you're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I don't have to spend money on it because I'm just going to have them do something over here.
Right.
They're going to do something over there. And then people will talk about it. It'll blow up on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok and people will be super excited about it. And that's exactly what happened to us.
Right.
We were like, oh my God, they are tussling at WWE Superstore. I was here for it.
I do want to go back to Trick and Mello. So we're not going to stand and deliver, but they are main eventing. This is the first time two black men have ever main evented an NXT event during WrestleMania weekend. And that's huge as well. I think Shawn Michaels and Triple H, you think about 90s.
Think about what they've created.
They were D-Generation X. They were over here being delinquents every single time they were on the TV. Yeah. And now they're both running basically the company. I mean, you have Nick Khan and other people involved, but like...
But it's them. They are the heart.
And is that not crazy?
And they get it, which is even more insane. But like, yeah, looking back on the segments, like some of my favorite clips in WWE involve Shawn Michaels and Triple H because I didn't catch that DX when it was like the full crew. I started watching when it was like kind of winding down to just Triple H and Shawn, and they were causing mayhem. I remember they stole a bounty and people were like trying to get this bounty. It was insane, but man, really, really great stuff. Just to think of everything that they've accomplished, especially Sean in NXT and in Triple H, and what they've done with that brand is just amazing. I was looking at Sean's entrance recently in Texas, and that he's got his little shimmer.
Oh, I remember that,
with the little cowboy hat and the Texas pants. And it reminded me of the camera shots that they're doing now. It was like a long shot. They got him directly backstage, going right up the ramp, and then as he's walking out, and I'm like, oh, okay, they're incorporating that again recently into WWE. So it's just crazy to see what they've done in the company.
It also shows too the history repeats itself. They're going back to these camera angles that they used to use in the 90s, the early 2000s, and the fans love it. The fans realize that, you know, out with the old and in with the new, in terms of the staffing there, and it really shows when you're watching the shows, when you're following the products. They are starting to kind of pay attention and see what works and what doesn't work,
as opposed to the million camera shots that they used to have.
5 million shots in 5 seconds.
You're like, wait, let's just not. That's why it was a nice refresher to see these long shots, and you're like, oh wow, like it feels like I'm genuinely there, and I'm walking with the wrestler, the superstar, whoever it is, to wherever they're going.
So definitely looking forward to this weekend. I think Wrestlemania will be amazing. I think Stand and Deliver will be amazing as well. Obviously, you won't be in attendance, but I think it'll be an amazing show. Just definitely looking forward to it. I think there's nothing like Wrestlemania season. People are excited. You know, the wrestlers are at the top of their game. They're excited to wrestle, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, the only criticism I have is the Andre the Giant Battle Royals. I think they should have been Mania. Like, why would
they
you
used to be?
Why did you, like, the pre-show's like 2 hours long, have that there, have something for the women. I feel like these superstars work hard all year to not be able to have at least a moment.
I mean, I hope that they add a women's battle royal. I don't understand why they're still doing the Andre the Giant Battle Royal at this point. Because what do you get? You get the trophy.
And at this point, it's like the
Owen consolation prize.
It's like the Owen Hart tournament
in AEW.
Belt. Yeah. So you just get it, and then you don't get to do anything with it for the end of the year until that doesn't make any sense.
It's like a soft skill accolade. Because I mean, you have it, but like you might use it. Really? Like you might be like, I won an award before. But
no,
it's not pertinent to every day. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, Wrestling Winedown turns 5 years old.
Oh my goodness.
April 13th. So once this episode is out, this show might be 5. It might be about to turn 5. It might have already turned 5. We'll see. It's so crazy to think about where my life was 5 years ago when I started this podcast versus now. And I've talked about this before. Myself and my college friend founded this podcast when we were still in college because we both had an interest in wrestling. And this was when Call Her Daddy was first coming out and stuff like that. And we were just like, let's do a podcast. And what should it be about and stuff like that. And, you know, now we look at the growth of podcast overall. It seems like everyone has a podcast. And we've been able, myself, I know I say we, but it's only me at this point.
It's literally just you.
I still get messages from people. We love you, ladies. Iridian is on a lot of episodes, but Iridian is here to talk. Iridian is not running the podcast.
And I always like to clarify, because anytime you send me those posts, they'll be like, oh, I love the ladies at Wrestling Winedown. And I'm like, well, ladies, it's low. It's literally just my bestie. And though you have included me in the Chardonnay Chisme, and this is something that we do together.
And she's my second pair of eyes.
I help with like social media stuff, but you are Wrestling Winedown. Like, you created Wrestling Winedown. I am not Wrestling Winedown in the sense that I'm only a feature.
She's like, let me clarify this once and for all.
Clarification.
And we might get a tweet after this that says, love the episode, ladies. It's okay.
No, it is. I love the episode, ladies, I guess. But for Wrestling Winedown, I always clarify. I'm like, bestie. I always, in the messages, I'll be like, who is the plural?
No, but it's been a very interesting experience. I've just thinking back, like, I would have never thought that I would have like dived into merch, which you have some merch on right now. Shop.wrestlingwinedownlv.com. Yeah. But it's just so crazy to see. And since I've started, there have been a lot of other female podcasters that have come in and started their own thing. And I'm always here for women who are interested in professional wrestling, starting their own podcast, specifically Black women. I think that it is just so important that they have their platform, they have their voice, that they're able to talk freely. And I feel like every couple weeks I see a new one and I'm just like, oh, this is so exciting. You know what I mean? I hope to continue for 5, 10, 15 more years. You know, I'm very appreciative of the support that I've received over the years and the friends that I've made, the growth that I've had within podcasting and merch overall. It's just been a really good experience. Like, there have been more good than bad when it comes to the podcast. And I'm very grateful for that. And I'm grateful for every single person who has bought merch. It makes my day when I see people wearing their stuff out. They wear it to shows. They're just so happy and confident in it. And that just makes me so happy. To make people laugh and to dress people nicely makes me happy.
Period. Let's talk about the shirts. So I'm wearing one today that I bedazzled myself.
Yes.
Because Bestie makes the merch. I bedazzle the merch.
Yes.
Okay?
I was talking to somebody the other day and they were like, they asked me something and I said, I am the visual artist. I make the piece. Iridian bedazzles it. I was like, it's a team effort. I was like, I cannot sit there and bedazzle anything.
I love bedazzling. It's my calm place.
Yeah.
It lets me focus. And I'm wearing a Bad Bitches for Ricky Starks shirt. And this is on your website.
It is.
So make sure you go and cop one because, Bestie, I'm telling you, the merch that you make, I remember this heart. This is my favorite heart. I know I tell you to put everything on this heart. I literally tell you, I'm like, don't do anything else. Literally work on the heart. So yeah, this is it. And it's one of my faves. And I did order 2 more from you. I ordered a custom Yuta and then a custom Takeshita. So yeah, those customs, look out for them because limited edition.
Yes. Yeah. And people love the customs. And like I said, when I start making these shirts, like I think back to, which was a year and a half ago. And I made Ricky, I made Hook, and
mind you had already done some stuff. Like you made merch for Jake something.
Yeah. So, which is on Pro Wrestling Tees still. And I was like, oh, I'm just gonna make this design. You know, I had somebody at the time that wanted a Ricky Starks one. And I was like, a lot of people like the Ricky Starks one. And he even liked it. I sent him his own, you know, and then I started making them and people loved them. And from there, I was kind of like, who else could I incorporate? And now we have so many different names on the website and custom ones with like, I have one coming out, which I guess I'll drop a hint.
You can tease it.
I'll tease it. If you like Mommy, I'd definitely watch out for one coming up. A custom design specifically around her. I did it for Willow. I've done it for Hangman, where I incorporate a little bit of their character into it.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Chardonnay and Chisme. Where can the people find you on social media?
You guys can head over to Rest Friends on YouTube. That's WREST Friends. And then also every Saturday after Collision, you can find me on the AEW Collision Post show with Cresta and Riccocino. And it's a great time over there. It really is.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Wrestling Winedown. You can find all of our other episodes available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, and wherever else you listen to your podcast. We're also on Twitter and Instagram at WWDCAST. Let us know what you thought about the episode. What was your favorite part? Until next time, enjoy your wine and, of course, enjoy your wrestling. Cheers!